Welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to review this fascinating read called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. In this book, the historian Yuval Noah Harari combines science and humanities together to help us better understand the history of humankind. The book draws upon various fields of study like biology, anthropology, paleontology, sociology, economics, history, geography, etc. And the book links natural sciences with social sciences and draws valuable conclusions on the history of the evolution of various human species and tries to tell us why only one human species, that is Homo sapiens, survives today, and not only just survives but dominates the world. The author of this book, Mr. Yuval Noah Harari, is a historian and a public intellectual who teaches at University of Hebrew at Israel, and some of the very well-known works are Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. That is a sequel to this book, and I'm reading that book, and half of it has been read, and I'll review that book very shortly. It is also a very fascinating read. Another book that he has recently written is called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And that has also been very well received, and it has been said that his views on issues like democracy are very enlightening in that book. Now let us talk about this book. This book is divided into 4 parts. The first part is called the Cognitive Revolution, the second is called the Agricultural Revolution, the third is called the Unification of Mankind, and the fourth is called the Scientific Revolution. The cognitive revolution happened around 72,000 years ago when humans evolved and started to imagine things. The author explains as to how humans became smarter. The author propounds that this happened because of the advent of fire. Before the discovery of fire, humans were just a part of the food chain and they were not at the top of that food chain. As before fire was not discovered, they ate raw foods which required large teeth and large intestines to digest that food. But with the discovery of fire, it was easier to digest cooked food, so gradually our teeth and intestine got smaller. Intestines growing smaller led to increase in the size of our brains. As the energy with the body is limited, it can't power a big brain and a big intestine at the same time. Now, if you think how much energy does a brain consume, actually it consumes a lot. It consumes around 25% of our bodily energy even when our body is at rest. With the increased size of our brain, our ability to think also increased. This intelligence led to the discovery of sign language that helped the humans to cooperate better. And this ability to cooperate makes us distinct species in the whole world. The author gives an example. If there are 1,000 chimpanzees and opposite them are 1,000 humans, we know who will win. Of course, humans will win. The author also talks about how there are packs of 20 to 50 chimpanzees and they cooperate with each other very well. But this gets limited to the extent of that 20 to 50 chimpanzees only. However, we humans can cooperate today with millions and billions of people like us, and this enables us to dominate the world. Now the question is, why are we able to cooperate in this huge number? Well, the author says it is because we can imagine. Humans live in dual realities. Humans also believe in objective reality, that is what we can experience, see, sense, that is like river, nature, trees, animals. But the second is imagined realities, that is gods, religions, nations, laws, money, human rights. We can't touch them, we can't see them, we can't experience them, but we firmly believe in them. The author very eloquently and convincingly explains the concept of these imagined realities. All of this, money, gods, religions, nations, human rights, are all concepts that are imaginary. They don't exist, but these are the stories that exist, and they help us to cooperate a lot better. For example, today we trade throughout the world. How? Because we have a money that is acceptable throughout the world and we can buy and sell anything. But can any animal do that? No. Another example, when a human is about to do something wrong to another human, they are told by the religion that it is a sin to harm someone else, and thus they do not harm others normally. And there's another concept called rule of law. We know that if we harm someone, we will be brought to justice and will be punished by the law. Now, these are all the stories that we believe in, and that helps our society to work in a better way and cooperate with each other. But there is another side of the story. Can we tell a monkey that if you donate this banana that you have in your hand, then you will get to enjoy a luxurious life after death in a place called heaven? The monkey will never give that banana away because the monkey has never seen the heaven and he cannot imagine anything like heaven. Whereas we humans can imagine, and we believe in such stories called heaven, that if we do something good, we will receive heaven after death. This is the brief summary of the book, but the author has not just talked about this evolution in this constricted fashion. He talks about a lot of other things that happened while we were evolving. Now, one of them is about how did we learn to speak. The author says that we learn to speak because we love to gossip. Homo sapiens is primarily a social animal, and social cooperation is our key for survival and reproduction. It is not enough for an individual man or a woman to know the whereabouts of a lion or an animal that we want to hunt. It's much more important for us to know who in their band hates whom, who is sleeping with whom, who is honest and who is a cheat. He also talks about how to capture power. He says, the alpha male usually wins his position not because he is physically stronger, but because he leads a large and stable coalition. Isn't it true about our politicians who are mostly in their 60s when they are ruling the nations and when they are at the peak of their careers? Now let's talk about food and sex. Why do we binge eat high-calorie foods that does little good to our bodies? The author explains that our bodies may have evolved, but it still thinks that we are in savannah. Savannah means a place in Africa. It's basically a reference to a place where humans first appeared. Now, because our body still thinks that we are in savannah, it also feels that it won't find any high-calorie food again. So it should eat as much of it as possible because savannah is a forest and it will only have sweet fruits as high calorie foods. So the author says that if a passing by human finds ripe fruits, he would try to eat as much of it as possible. The same is happening with us. Even after evolution, we can't stop eating these processed foods even when we know that these are very unhealthy for us. The author also talks about the sexual habits or sexual patterns of humans from the beginning. He says that according to a theory, the foragers lived in communes where there was no such concepts like monogamous relationships or private property or even fatherhood. In such a band, a woman could have sex with various men and form intimate relationships with various men. Since no man knew definitely which of the child were his, men showed equal concern for all. Even today, there are a number of human communities in which collective fatherhood is practiced. For example, there is a tribe in South Sudan called Bari Indians where this is practiced. According to the belief of such societies, a child is not born from the sperm of a single man, but from the accumulation of sperm in a woman's womb. A good woman will make it a point to have sex with several men, especially when she is pregnant, so that her child will enjoy the qualities and paternal care not merely of the best hunter, but also of the best storyteller, the strongest warrior, and the most considerate lover. If this sounds silly, bear in mind that before the development of modern embryological studies, people had no solid evidence that bodies are always formed or sired by a single father rather than many. The proponents of the theory argues, is the reason behind frequent infidelities in modern day marriages and the high rates of divorce. Now, the another theme the author talks about is patriarchy. The title in the book, while dealing with this topic, is called "What's So Good About Men?" Patriarchy is a structure where men are valued more than women, where men enjoy privileges at the cost of women. The author tries to look for these causes and shares three stories. The first is that it may be because of the strength that men have. He says that the masculinity is always valued more in the society than femininity. Second may be that another explanation is that the dominance is not because of masculinity of men, but because men can be more aggressive than women. The third explanation is genes and reproduction. In the earlier times, as men competed against each other for the opportunity to impregnate fertile women, an individual's chance of reproduction depended upon, above all, on his ability to outperform and defeat other men. As time went by, the masculine genes that made it to the next generation were those belonging to the most ambitious, aggressive, and competitive men. Women, on the other hand, had no problem finding a man willing to impregnate her. However, a pregnant woman required the help of a man to obtain food, etc. This made women submissive. However, the author also notes that it has been observed in various animal species that during the period of pregnancy, instead of the pregnant female animal depending on the male animal, she is taken care of by the fellow female animals that are part of that group. Now, lastly, is human today happier than he was before? The author thinks no, we were happier earlier. Why, you ask? I say read the book. I can safely say that no other book that I've read has widened the horizon of my analytical thinking and my imagination as much as this book. This book can change the way we analyze and think. Thank you very much for listening to my review. I'll be back next Sunday with a new book review. Please consider subscribing or following me based on if you are listening to this on YouTube or Instagram. Till then, take care, stay safe.